Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me for 10 Minute Tuesday. I have my friend Dr. A on here. Dr. A, how you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for recording and jumping on the podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So, 10 Minute Tuesday, we've done a number of these, so let's go ahead and hop into it. Dr. A, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Dr. Amy Quarkume. Most people call me Dr. A, Associate Professor of Africana Studies and Data Science and Data Ethics, specifically at Howard University.
So HBCU love. I had to represent TSU. Had to wear my hat.
Yes,
So
yes,
so I had to make sure to represent, get that HBCU love in. But you're a professor now, and at a certain point, you had to start your journey. So what really compelled you to get into data to begin with?
Mhm. So if you've been following our program, which just started this year, I've been telling you on my journey, started particularly in academia in African American studies and sociology, but I was someone who was strong in statistics and quant. But at the height of COVID, when I was watching the news, watching TV, getting information as far as what's going on, I can tell that AI had got it wrong when it came to our communities. I'm speaking about our Black communities, our Hispanic communities, our Native American communities. AI had been able to create booms in business for certain individuals, but when it came to business for us, small business loans, AI had not allowed us to kind of get applications and get funding as other companies. When it came to healthcare specifically, there was underreporting of figures. AI had moved testing sites out of our community. AI had not allowed many people to get the receive the vaccine. So I was just interested in like how is AI working for everyone else but not working for us. So yes, I was in history. Yes, I was somewhat in the social science and humanities, but I pivoted and I delved deep into AI and data science, particularly ethics and governance, because I felt that even though I may not be involved in data science and AI is involved in my life, and it's important for me to kind of be able to understand what's going on, to be able to train my students to be able to be engaged. So that's how I pivoted from the field in general. And then from there, Howard also was building his data science program. So that's where I sit myself now as the director of the data science program at Howard University.
I love it. That's really fascinating and an amazing journey. And I think a follow up question to that is AI is such a hot topic now, and now ChatGPT and all these other tools came in. Has that increased like the velocity of the work you all are doing right now?
It definitely is. I would say generative AI is changing so fast. In like 6 months, we got version like 5.5, right? So if you're in the academy, things don't move that fast. But because the technology is moving so fast, those of us who are teaching, we have to be more innovative in our teaching and our assignments and what is really relevant to our students. Right? That's making us kind of move on our feet. And my staff, my team, we meet weekly just to kind of talk about how things are going, how students are retaining the information. Are we giving them the most up-to-date information? If it's Tableau, GIS, whatever platform, have we all updated our versions? So the days of being siloed, particularly in data science and tech, those days for us, that's not, those days don't exist. We're really pivoting weekly with what's happening, not only in the government as far as policies around generative AI, but also in training.
So love that. I love the weekly cadence and the meetings and making sure you're up to date and keeping it moving. So with that regard to keeping it moving, you had a start and now you're in your data. But with that, what's been your least favorite job to date? You might not have always been in data. So what's been one of your least favorite jobs that you had?
I mean, growing up from the Bronx, I'm from New York, BX, where you at? We in the building here. In the Bronx, growing up, Black girl, 10468, you had to kind of find ways to pay your bills. And I was at Young World, cashier. And I think I'm not saying I didn't love who I work with. I love the people I work with. I love the sense of this micro store that provided so much for our communities. But just also, I came face to face with what our struggles were day to day. Like people couldn't afford school uniforms. People would swipe their cards and it'll be denied. And just kind of the heartbreak and understanding that even at that time, the financial struggle of being in the Bronx and me being able to leave the Bronx to go to Temple, like some people didn't have that reality. And some of my friends I grew up with in the Bronx are still there. We still talk, but that was my least favorite. Just kind of going through that and knowing that at the end of the summer I will go to college, but then I'll come back and work, and the same people who I will come back to, their circumstances had not changed. It's interesting. I was watching a news a news video, and they were talking about at that time when I was a teenager working, there was layaway. where if you couldn't afford, you kind of put some money down and come back and pay. But the credit card debt situation has created, and there's no more layaways no more. You can kind of swipe and take, but the idea of also taking the burden of debt is also creating so much inequality financially, where people cannot build wealth. When at a time, if I saved enough, I could come back and get maybe the rest of my purchase. But just getting things so instantly is creating a different type of generation and reality financially for our communities. That's very hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's something that if you're not mindful of, you just lose it. And you're just not really present. Like if you're not really present,
Yeah.
you can see that how quickly it is. Because I remember layaway, and I remember you have $10 here, you putting on something, but continuously, but then you own it, and so the concept of ownership is swiftly going away as well.
Yeah, like literally, like physically standing there, like counting the items in your cart. Now Amazon, you don't count your cart no
No.
more, so you get it instantly. Like I
Yeah.
need it. But then when it
Yeah.
gets here, it's like I don't really need this.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll make
Like,
sure.
So yeah, that was my least favorite job, but I still love the people. I love the community.
Yeah. On the instant gratification, I'll make sure I save this clip for my wife, who has a big Amazon cart. Love you, babe. Yeah. Okay. Understanding about the journey, you started at the job, and then you're in data right now. But through that, there have been quotation marks around failure. But what would you consider your biggest failure, quotation marks, we all fail forward, in your journey, and what did you really learn from that experience?
Thank you for that question. It's an interesting question. So if anyone sees my CV online, you'll see all these institutions that exist. Particularly in the past 2 years, my CV has diversified from not just Temple. But if you look at my degrees, I wouldn't say, again, not the biggest failure, but the biggest turning point, I say, in my life was when I was in graduate school. I was accepted straight from undergrad into a PhD program in sociology. Young person, excited. I didn't know what a PhD was, to be honestly, but I knew that I was in there. I wasn't as prepared and knowledgeable about what I was doing, I'll say that. But also at a point where to transition from one level of degree to the next, I had been diagnosed with dyslexia. And I struggled reading for a long time, but now I had found out what it was specifically, and how that kind of was gripping my writing ability. And in the place I didn't have the right support, so I had to leave that space and go start all over again. So I found myself in African American Studies, which was a very much a pivot, but it was also a great pivot in finding a support. My research and writing was more focused because I was focused on my own community, and I felt more empowered just to kind of begin to sharpen my tools, right? But that was very much a challenging, depressing moment that I could have kind of left the academy altogether. And I think many of us who look like us do that when we don't find support, or we face challenging situations when it even comes to writing. But I've been able to have a strong writing support team, great mentors to be able to help me just push it through. So we're still writing, still teaching, clearly still getting more degrees. It don't stop us. So if you find yourself struggling with any learning disability or any issue, if you don't like math, guess what? You can still be very proficient in math if you have a great teacher. So I've been able to find great teachers who've been helping to support me. So I'll say that.
That's fantastic, and that's like a great message, because you never know what someone's dealing with, right? You never know what type of perseverance or dedication or the extra effort that someone's dealing with. So thanks for being transparent about that, and hopefully someone listening to this can get some type of inspiration, and saying like, you can do it, like you can do it too.
Definitely push and pray.
That's it. That's all we can do. All right. So what is one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career?
So I'll do that too. So in career generally, and in career in data science, I'll say. So in career generally, I would say, one, as a Black woman, I think Black women in any field should protect yourself and stand up for yourself, like hands down. In the dimension of the world we live in today, we can be everything for everyone, but still not be valued, right? You can be doing everything you can, but people won't put that together like, oh, we should be compensating her, or we should be recognizing her, or we should be giving her this opportunity as much as we allow others. So I'll say that definitely do your work, but know that you have to speak up when you feel like you're not being seen, but people are kind of benefiting from your results. I think in data science, I would say three things. There is very much an issue of ethics. And if you have not stopped to think about what you're doing ethically, even in your code by yourself as you're doing your homework, please do that. Right. Equity, if you're in class, if you're online class, physical class, and you look around, you don't see diversity in your room, you need to say something, right? Even if it's, I don't care where it's spaces, right? And then the last thing is we have yet to exhaust questions that really need answers to some of our most vulnerable communities. When we talk about having a new currency, which is cryptocurrency, that's great, right? But people still do not have a living wage. People are still facing poverty. So we still have to ask questions on how do we alleviate poverty? How do we alleviate dropout rates? How do we alleviate maternal health issues? Like there's still questions that we have yet to ask with data. On the continent, there's still spaces that have no data to even begin to ask questions about their situation. That if you feel that you are in a job where it's just an automatic, you running data, there's someone who has no data and needs your help in kind of figuring out how to make better decisions with more information. So those of us who are in the data field, right, we need to kind of begin to come together and leverage our skills to be able to help those who don't have the skill set we have, who don't have the cloud support that we have, who don't have the connectivity or the resources or the skills we have. Because it doesn't feel good to have data-driven decisions impacting everyone, but most just have no idea what's happening. And that's what we're dealing with right now. Like there's a 1% of the world who's controlling all of tech and most of the data lakes and is impacting all of our lives. But some people don't even know what AI is. Like literally, there's people who don't know what AI is. And that's very unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. And it's feel like AI, if you mention what a data lake is, if you mention what cloud versus on-prem, there's so many people who have no idea like what
No
that is.
idea. No
Information
idea.
is definitely
Literally, and it's
information.
stopping them from getting a job,
Yeah.
stopping them from getting their benefits, stopping them from traveling, stopping them from getting their passport process. For like there's AI impacts and cross-sects all of our lives in so many different ways that if anything, you should be someone who's pushing data literacy. Maybe not coding, but at least educating people and just understanding how data and tech impacts their lives.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for the gems. This was fantastic. So, Dr. A, where can listeners find you at online?
Also online on Instagram, Dr. A_HU, Twitter, X, same thing. And LinkedIn is probably the best place. I think I'm in love with LinkedIn right now. Then also just by my email, amy.yeboah, YEBOH at howard.edu. I'm at Howard. Howard, we're always welcome to we're accepting definitely students for the next cohort if anyone's interested in applying as well too. But that's my handles.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll follow her on all the platforms. Thank you so much for being on. And if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we will talk to y'all next week. Y'all have a great one.
Peace.